then once you understand this element, and I spend time on this, because I often find that this is often where we spend and waste the most amount of money. Because when you understand that, and then you infuse and translate that into visual elements, then your brand creates an expression of itself through the colors that you use, through the communication style, through the brand strategy, through the marketing strategy. You cannot start with a marketing strategy if you do not understand it. Thank you so much. I'm going to take a seat. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. How are you doing today? Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here today. By a show of hands, how many of you only understand English and speak English in the room? Only. Okay. By a show of hands, how many of you understand Sesotho and speak Sesotho? Okay, great. I'm trying to get a sense of the room because sometimes when I am passionate, I tend to off-ramp to my Sotho. So I want to know who I'll be leaving behind should that happen, but I'll quickly find my way back. So at least I know now that I will not be leaving anyone behind should I speak Sotho or incorporate Sotho into this, all right. Thank you, Papa, for that beautiful introduction. But allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Nzwaki Sibia, Kipeu Yabahlakwana Oketwe Ngosotobe. And I am a mentor by profession. I mentor entrepreneurs such as yourselves to expand their business perspective and to sharpen their capabilities as entrepreneurs using their own personal experiences so that you can confidently position yourself in your area of expertise. Now today I've been assigned to speak on building a brand without breaking the bank. Building a brand without breaking the bank. What this in essence means is building a brand without it costing you too much or without you spending more than you can afford on this brand building. Again, by a show of hands, how many of us identify as startup entrepreneurs? Startup entrepreneurs. Okay, I love this topic for you. I love this topic for you, and particularly the fact that I'm here to share this topic based on my experience, because I have run the marathon of building a brand. I have done my fair share of running this marathon, so I absolutely love this topic for you. You know, in the beginning stages of your business, what often tends to happen is that people do not separate you as the business owner from the brand, the business. All right, so your personal brand will be strongly linked and tied to your business. And so for purposes of today's conversation, I'm going to delve into both your personal brand and that of your business. Okay. All right. Awesome. Now let's start by putting definitions in place. So what is a personal brand? What is a personal brand? If I could just get a volunteer in the room, project your voice and give me a definition of what you would say a brand is. In fact, not just a personal brand, but a brand specifically. What is a brand? Anyone in the room?
Yes.
Let's engage, guys. Let's engage. I love to be interactive and engaging. Does this mean that you do not know what a brand is? Or we are not sure? But it's okay, even if you're not sure. Even if you're not sure, let me get a sense of understanding. Yes, Ndade.
I believe the brand is the identity of the company.
Okay, so he believes that the brand is an identity of the company. Yes, ma'am.
I believe that a brand is you, how you presented yourself to the public.
I love that. I love that. Yes, ma'am.
I think that a brand is something that makes you stand out from other businesses. What ideally your business represents.
Okay.
What it sells.
I love that. All right. So, not too far off. I'll just correct you there, Abutine. I'll correct you there. But that's the whole point, so that we learn, right? We're learning. I love what you just said there. Patricia. So a brand is not necessarily your logo, that identity you spoke about, all right? It's not necessarily your logo. Your brand is not your logo. Your brand is not a logo. Your brand is a collection of perceptions. It is a collection of perceptions in the minds of your consumers. Does that make sense? So brands are born out of experience. Brands are born out of experience and reflect a particular reputation that you have. Right. Now, I mentioned a few moments ago that when you are starting your business off, while your business and organization is a strong individual brand, you as the owner of the business are not an afterthought. We are all brands, each and every one of us in this room. You are all a brand, whether you're aware of it, whether you're conscious of it or not, you're a brand. Now let me give a practical example. How many of you can relate to this? In a family setup, where a family member refers to somebody else in the family, whether it's a cousin, a sibling, or you, and say, yo, smamang ubutswa. He ubutswa. Kapo smamang uhutezi. They are proactive. That is your brand in the context of your family. It is a collective perception that people have of you within the context of your family. And this is born out of the experience that they have of you. They didn't just wake up and say, Smamang ubutswa, or you are lazy. It's been a build up. It means that's how you have constantly been showing up. And so that is your brand. Does that make sense? Now, your priority as a business owner, is not to be nonchalant about how you show up. It's not to be nonchalant and casual about how you conduct yourself. It's to be intentional and know what is the perception that people have of me as a brand. What is the perception that they have of me? And one may argue that we can't control what people say about us, right? And that's true. We can't control what people say about us. But what's also true is that you can 100% control the narrative. You can 100% control the narrative of your brand. It's about deciding, how do you want to show up? How do you want to show up? What do you want to be known for? And then constantly delivering on that. Constantly and consistently delivering on that. What it is that you want to be known for. Whatever it is that you want to put out there, you constantly deliver on that. If you say that you are a punctual person, always on time, constantly delivering on that. If you say you are professional, constantly delivering on that, doing things in excellence in the small things, so that you're showing up as professional. If you say that you have an unmatched work ethic, constantly showing up and delivering on that. Because it may start off as a small habit for you, but you're building a culture. You're building a brand, you're building a culture, and you're going to expand in your business, and these things are going to reflect onto whoever's joining your team. And therefore, they need to understand the essence of the brand. Right. So brand building is basically about being your best self and showing up. Being intentional about how you want to be seen. Because how you are seen will impact your work. How you are seen will impact your relationships with your clients, with your teams. How you are seen will impact how you create and deliver value as a business. So we need to be conscious about this. All right, because if we're not conscious about this, this is where we begin to waste money, chasing a brand. This is where we begin to start wasting the money because we're not clear. Okay. So now, where do we begin? Where do we begin in building this brand, and how do we then start delivering? How do we then start delivering consistently on what our essence is as a brand? So my starting point with entrepreneurs is usually cultivating a strong sense of identity, going back to our roots. Going back to our roots and understanding ourselves rather than seeking to be understood by our clients, by the industry, by social media people. Understanding ourselves first. Who are you? Who are you? These are questions you should ask yourself. And these are questions I want you to ask yourself from Monday when I start giving you these strategies. Who are you? What has been the making of you? What has shaped you? Where are you headed and why? Because it will give you directive on which direction the brand should be going. You see, there's a background we all come from. All of us. There's a background we all come from. And only you can draw from that. From that background, from that experience, from that story, to show up for yourself in your business and in your everyday endeavors today in building a brand. That background that you come from, if you come, for example, from a background where your parents taught you work ethic, to wake up in the morning, audit your time, so that you're not wasting time on distractions and you're hardworking. And if that value still resonates with you and that principle still resonates with you, then you start to begin to center your brand around those things. You begin to center your brand around those things. I often share that I come from a very entrepreneurial background, where leadership, excellence, and strong work ethic were modeled to me very early in my childhood. And so when you experience the essence of my brand, it's not necessarily my logo, but it's my work ethic. It's how I show up in excellence in the small things. It's my leadership. So when you take away the bells and whistles with the services that I do, what the logo looks like, how beautifully curated my social media is, that is the essence of what you are going to get. Now you need to learn to understand that, because that is the narrative you need to drive. You're not driving the narrative of the logo. It's the essence of the brand, the experience. What experience of you are your customers and clients getting when you deliver that value that you have created for them? And you can't adopt this. You can't adopt this from your industry. What we often do in the beginning stages is we adopt brand stories from the internet. We adopt our core values from the internet, because you look at Nzwaki's profile and you're like, it looks like this is what's seemingly working, so let's say that I am also that person and this is what I value. And what then tends to happen, it becomes incongruent with who you are. And so when you're delivering, you cannot deliver the magic like Nzwaki does, because she is centered and rooted in a deep sense of identity. So what is your identity? Don't think your story doesn't matter. Your story absolutely matters, because there's a system of thinking and a philosophy that it's shaped in you. And so you then translate that and infuse that into your business. And that is how you show up, how I am seen. Are you all with me? Is everyone with me? Yes. Are you understanding what I mean? You want to all right. So I'm a bit personal. So like I said, the values that you have, you know these. So let's not go out and pay people to write our brand stories. You're not supposed to pay someone to write your brand story and write a story that's going to sell or a story that sounds good. You need to know that story yourself, understand it yourself, so that when you go to somebody to help you beautifully put it out, they are refining it. They are not creating it for you. Right. So go back to self. When you know who you are and understand the narrative of your brand, your decisions become easier. You start knowing which client is good for me. You start knowing that your friend is not your client, and it's not a client that's good for you. You start knowing which employees are a good fit for my business because of the culture and brand and ethos that I have created. And so we're not wasting money having people who are not showing up for your brand. You know, when I started working in retail, I worked for Urban Degree. I'm not sure if anyone knows this brand. It's called Platinum Group, and they've got Urban, Aka Joe, Jenny Button, Hilton Wiener, and I forgot what the other one is. And when I went to apply for a job there, they said I was not brand fit. And I didn't understand what that meant. You are not brand fit. It took time for me to understand that, oh, that's what they mean.
What did they mean?
So specifically, because they've got these 5 brands or these 5 different retail stores, there's a particular look that they are looking for. There's a particular expression that they are looking for. So when it comes to your Urban Degree, for instance, they're not looking for somebody who's high energy, apapang, who likes blonde hair like me. Do you understand? There's a particular market that they are trying to target and attract. And so instead of just taking that, I should have found out where would I fit into? Which umbrella would I fit into without having to change myself and my personality? Because it needs to be organic and authentic to be able to speak to a customer and let the customer resonate with the brand through me as a brand ambassador, because your employees are your brand ambassadors. So are they fit for your brand? When they are greeting a customer coming in, a client coming in, is it an expression of who you are as the brand owner and what culture you want to create? The experience. Brands are born of experience. So that's what they meant, that I was not brand fit. So understand the narrative of your brand and drive that narrative. You can 100% control that narrative. Once you understand that, knowing yourself, getting clear about what narrative you are, and I'm not talking about features of your business. Once you understand that, you then come onto the second element that we are always rushing for when we start our businesses. That's where we want to start, the tactical parts. Create a logo, have beautiful colors, have beautiful posters, boost posters. Only once you understand this element, and I spend time on this, because I often find that this is often where we spend and waste the most amount of money. Because when you understand that and then you infuse and translate that into visual elements, then your brand creates an expression of itself through the colors that you use, through the communication style, through the brand strategy, through the marketing strategy. You cannot start with a marketing strategy if you do not understand the brand strategy. You cannot create a brand strategy if you do not understand the essence of who you are and what your brand is about, the value that it's creating and delivering. So all of these things tie in with how we are spending our money, where we are expending our financial resources. You create a poster, you put it on Facebook, you boost it with no substance. And then you wonder, why am I not attracting my clients? You don't understand your value proposition. And then you run to Ndademane, I think marketing and advertising is the engine. And he's going to do that. He's going to market and advertise it. But is it going to reach your target segment? Because that is a distribution channel. But if you do not understand your value proposition, that distribution channel is pointless. It is pointless. So we need to understand these value propositions that we have. Delivering on time is a value proposition. Don't take it for granted. The fact that you wake up early and you are at work, that is a value proposition. Don't take it for granted. Our problem is just that we don't know how to package it and communicate it so that our friends know what value you are bringing to them so that you don't have to negotiate your price down. All right, so understanding this then allows us to then translate this to visual elements, where we are creating our logos, our marketing touch points, and expressing and creating an expression of the brand. Now there's various platforms and tools where we can create these marketing touch points, where we can create these logos. I had a session the other day with one of my mentees, and I gave her homework afterwards. And 3 weeks later, I didn't think it would take that long. So 3 weeks later, I reached out to her to want to find out, has she done and completed the homework? Now, one thing about me, I always want people to show up with excellence. Because as I say, excellence is in the small things. It's how you show up with me as a mentor that reflects how you're showing up with your clients out there. So if you're giving me homework, show up in excellence. Show up as if you'd be showing up for your client. And 3 weeks later, I ask her, where's the homework? She says to me, no, she's waiting for the person who is designing her letterhead. Do you see where we're wasting money? She's waiting for the person who is designing her letterhead because I said she must show up in excellence. Rightfully so. But she could have used that 500, because I asked how much was it out of 500. She could have used that 500, expended that research into joining the mentorship club, which we have, where we could have taught her how to do this by herself using tools and resources. Or alternatively, she could have signed up for Canva Pro for 90 Rand a month. She gets exposed to all these pro templates and created herself, saving. So do you understand when you're not centered in something and you don't understand what your brand is about, you blow with the wind. You are blowing with the wind. Cultivate a strong sense of identity. Know thyself. Package that story and that brand story. If you don't know how to do that, seek counsel. Seek mentorship. Seek somebody to assist you package your story. Not created for you. And then we translate that to how we are showing up, and that's in our communication, our emails, our marketing touch points. What is the experience that people have of us? Are we reliable? Is that the brand experience? Or does it take 3 weeks later for you to actually deliver on something you said you're going to deliver on?
Okay.
We're trying to save costs. You're trying not to break the bank. You don't need to hire the most expensive graphic designer to build a brand. That's the tactical elements. Your brand essence is in you and how you are showing up for your business. And those things do not cost you anything. Those things do not cost you anything. How you show up, what you are rooted in. I'm looking at the time. I've been told that my time is almost up. I've been told my time is almost up. So basically, this is what I wanted to cover. Hetty is going to come in and have a masterclass. She will then build on anything else that I forgot to go into in this short space of time. Otherwise, we're also going to have a Q&A, I believe. But this is the underlying message that I wanted you guys to have. All right. I love this topic for you, and I want you to take time, go home, and think about it, contemplate it. Contemplate it so that you can come up with the right brand strategies and then the right conversion strategies to get that brand out there, but for that brand to actually convert into monetary value for you, for your business to grow. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So I don't want Ntswaki to go anywhere just yet. We're going to have just a 15-minute session. I'd also just like to invite Haiti onto the stage, and this will be then open for you guys also to ask questions for the Q&A segment, and there'll be a roaming mic to pick up for those who have questions. So just put up your hands. Guys, please don't be shy. This is our time. Okay, cool, great. Let's welcome Haiti onto the stage as well. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you for that, Ntswaki. My goodness, that felt like a bit of a rude awakening, hey? She gave us some tough love there. But I think we needed it because this is a room full of entrepreneurs, and sometimes we need to have these hard conversations about how we are showing up as the brands that we are. And sometimes we don't actually see ourselves as brands when we actually are. This is a Q&A section. So this is literally for you. We've got a roaming mic. As Ntswaki was speaking, if there's some questions that have been, resonating with you, this is the time to actually ask her questions. You can literally raise your hand and the mic is going to come up to you. And then we can begin. Whilst we are starting off, my first question to you, Ntswaki, is how do I decide on what my brand promise is? Because you said that a brand is the consistent experience that people have of you. I've engaged with businesses where honestly the consistent experience is lateness. The consistent experience is, gosh, this person is talented, but I never get the stuff on time. And sometimes we don't realize that that too is a brand, right? When I think, for example, if I need to go to Home Affairs to do anything, first of all, heart palpitations. And then secondly, I'm thinking, okay, I must wake up very early because I'm expecting a queue. That's their brand promise. So we don't always realize that people's experience of us can either be good or bad, but the consistency of that becomes your brand. How do we, as small businesses that are on the ground, really craft what our brand promise is and then commit to that?
Thank you for that question, Hetty. Absolutely love it. I think that's where I highlighted the importance of being authentic and coming up with something that is organic to you. And starting from our roots, you know if you are not a punctual person. And so adopting that as a brand promise is setting yourself up for failure. Right. So you understand, you know what are the values and the core principles that are important to you. And then you begin to craft your brand promise around those things that you know that no mananja, wake me up at 3 a.m, I will deliver on such a thing. So don't adopt brand promises based on what's popular in the industry or what's popular amongst your peers or what's popular amongst what you see on social media. So when I say my brand promise is proficiency, it is because I know it's something that I've cultivated in me and I've mastered for a number of years. So I will not fail at being proficient. So I don't say proficiency because it sounds good.
You-
I know that it's something that's innate in me. And hence I'm saying, let's unpack our identities as individuals. Let's unpack how we grew up, what has shaped you, what is important to you, what is your philosophy. And then from there, we start crafting this brand promise. And it's very easy to control it in the beginning stages of your business, when the business is still small. It's very easy to control and manage that brand promise. As the business gets bigger, right, you've got now a culture you've created, like I've said, you've got employees, you've got people who are then either disappointing, like home affairs. It's the people that are working there, do you understand?
Yeah.
So, but while you can still control the narrative of what your brand promise is, do not set yourself up for failure. Select something that you know, I am definitely going to be able to deliver on this.
Right. Put a cushion on the floor.
Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Taron Moliko. Most of the
Oh, there you are.
most of the things you spoke about resonates with me, and that is my brand. I see a lot of youth in this hall, and the problem we have in our communities is that most of them spend their time looking at social media, looking at TikToks. So with me, my brand is when I go or meet with them, right? When I go to weddings, when I go to Makete, when I go to funerals, I talk about me as a brand. I talk about my company, and I know most of the people, what I'm doing is imparting knowledge to them, right? And it's also about networking. Most of them don't network. It's about collaboration, it's about partnerships. So I attend a lot of expos, I attend a lot of things. So that one is myself as a brand. That was a comment I wanted to make. Thank you.
Thank you, Daddy Kelebo. And I love that you mentioned what you do when you do go out to these communities. Because I also want to highlight that as much as you mentioned that most of growing as a brand is also about networking and collaborating. Networking and collaboration always requires you to also know what value do you bring to that partnership and that collaboration. Now, if you do not know yourself, you're going to get consumed in that partnership and lose sight of who you are in that partnership. And sometimes, oftentimes, you may not grow, or you may feel like it did not work.
Oh, sure.
So it's always very important to go back to what are our principles, what is your philosophy, and then showing up as that.
Well, Catherine can turn.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning, Queen.
My name is Sylvia. Ntswaki, I'd like to ask this question. Why is this the brand not selling for most of the businesses? Is because we are putting more information or less information? Because to my understanding, the brand, it must be your mouthpiece to your business. So I'd like to find out why is most brands are not selling.
I'm not sure if I understand.
Yeah. So what she's in essence asking is that why is it that some brands, people are putting themselves out there, but in as much as they're doing that, it's not translating to sales. One of the things I will say to that from a monetization perspective is that we need to be able to strike a balance between brand visibility and awareness and being able to bring money into the business. There are some activities that you are going to do just to bring visibility. I need people to see me. I need people to know that my business exists. I want them to see my product. I want them to touch it, to feel it, and to engage with it. And in the beginning of your business, that's very, very important. I need them to try some samples, because if they've tried the sample and they've loved the sample, then there's a strong possibility that they'll come back and buy the actual product. Now, the mistake that we make as entrepreneurs is that then we fail to create a balance between visibility and exposure. And remember, exposures for cameras, guys, it doesn't pay the rent. All right? So visibility and exposure, and then generating and making sales. You have to become obsessed with selling as an entrepreneur. We literally have no excuse. This is the path that we have chosen to grow our businesses. You cannot say, I am too shy, I cannot sell. I'm selling from my boot, nobody wants to buy. Oh, I'm in Attridgeville at the corner of Mulambo Street, therefore there are no customers. Then you move to another corner, and then another corner, until you find the right corner. So often at times, the reason why the money is not coming in is that you focused on visibility. You've done the market, you've advertised wherever it's good, we know you exist, but you haven't yet learned the art of selling. How do I position my business in a way that motivates people to take money out of their pocket and give it to me? And sometimes there are things we need to do. Maybe the product isn't that great. It's a tough one to hear, but who else must we have this conversation with if not among ourselves as entrepreneurs? Maybe I need to refine the product. Maybe I'm not selling it to the right people. I'm busy selling to students when I should be selling to people who are in corporate or who are running their own businesses with B2B. So sometimes we need to tweak in order to motivate people to say, hey, let me take my money out of my pocket and give it to you. Could it be that you've got a selling problem?
I love that you say that, Hetty. And just to add on to that, I also find oftentimes that our problems as entrepreneurs is that sometimes we also don't understand our business models. You don't understand your business model. And so you're perhaps, like Hetty said, you're selling to the wrong person. You see, what's important when you understand your business model, you've got the components that will give you a clear understanding of what your value proposition is. It's not merely just the fact that you are cleaning somebody's sneakers. But it's the convenience, perhaps, for me, as somebody who loves sneakers. So when you come and sell to me, don't sell that you are cleaning sneakers. Every corner has somebody who wants to clean my sneakers. What is the value proposition, right? And then, am I selling to the right person? Our target segment, our audience. Who are you selling to? Because we tend to think that everybody is our client. I understand very well that with me as a mentor, not everybody is my client, and not every mentee is fit for me as a mentor. So understanding your business model so that you know when I then go out seeking my distribution channels to put myself out there, I am actually speaking to Mzwaki who's interested in this. And not to Tato, who is just, yes, I see you, girl. Do you understand? So having a clear sense of understanding, do you understand your business model? Do you actually understand it? Or are we doing things looking at how Hetty's page is running and I'm going to try that as well? I'm also going to try that. But is it fitting and does it align to your business model, your particular business model? So it's a very broad question, Queen. And we'd have to unpack and unlock some of the potentials that are within there. Do you understand the business model? Do you understand your conversion strategies? Do you understand your marketing related activities, but they're not necessarily going to convert at that time? Do you understand your sales cycles? What are you doing in the gaps? All right.
Thought.
I think we can take one more question, the last one from the floor.
Good morning. A question for you, Ausinzwagi. I'd like to ask, how do you go about building a business model that goes fitting with your business? Because most people just copy and paste. I've seen this with a lot of businesses. Like, let's say, as you said, dude, there are a lot of people that washes cakes, like on corners. How do you make sure that yours is different from theirs? Like in terms of your business model. I'm not sure if I'm making sense, but as a business person, I'm sure you can make sense of what I'm saying.
Hey, there was a challenge at the end there.
Right? So what I've been working on for years now, right? And I infuse this into my mentorship programs as well, is we do the model based on the business model canvas. I don't know if you've heard of that. Right? We do the model based on the business model canvas. And now the business model canvas will then give you 9 components that actually show you how the puzzles of your business fit and how each decision you make in these components affects and impacts your bottom line, right? So it's not necessarily a blanket approach. We use those components as a guideline, but we would have to then assess and diagnose your particular business to see, all right, based on the business model canvas, when we say your value proposition is, what does that actually look like for you, as opposed to what it looks like for me? All right. So with guidance and mentorship, I would be able to help you craft that. Then we have a value proposition canvas as well, where you are unpacking within that value proposition, what are the needs of this potential customer avatar that I've got? What are the benefits that I'm creating for them? So we unpack that as well, where we have a canvas within the value proposition. We have a canvas within the customer segment and creating your customer avatar. We're then able to craft a brand strategy that is fitting to your particular business. Now that brand strategy is what is then going to set you apart when you're saying there's 10 of us in one street, what differentiates me? So it's understanding the model and the components and how each decision impacts that bottom line.
Wow, thank you so much for that, Ntwaki. I think you've given us so much food for thought, and I think this is a conversation we can literally keep having all day. That brings us to the end of this particular segment. We actually had such a really great podcast conversation with Ntwaki. It is on the Monetize Your Business YouTube channel, so you can actually go and then consume more content from Ntwaki. And what we will do is part of our post workshop communication with you is we will also share her contact details with you for those of you who might want to keep in contact with her or join the mentorship club or any other offering you have or the content that you are putting out there as well. So let's give Ntwaki a resounding round of applause.
Yeah. Thanks for that.